So that's interesting to see where WWF are positioning. Finally on Raw, a week later, Ken Shamrock beats Rockabilly. How about that one? In 2 minutes and 38 seconds with an ankle lock. With a huge tap out. The new thing in wrestling is the tap out, Meltzer reports. And at this point, Matt, WWF have managed to get Dan Severn, who did colour commentary during the match. Vince McMahon pulls out the UFC advertising from his own mouth at this point, so he's now doing it kind of through his own voice all of a sudden on commentating. He's really putting the UFC over, and he says, I mean, this is interesting. This is just kind of a side note, but this is Vince McMahon, and he's quoted as saying, like, in the commentary booth at the time, how UFC is misunderstood, and when Severn noted there hasn't been a death in mixed martial arts matches in 75 years, McMahon then said boxing nor pro wrestling could make that claim. That's a bit strange, Matt. You're thinking, hang on a minute, like, whoa, like, God, when you think of years to come, like, how that might have been all changed, especially in wrestling. It's reported it was really surprising, Meltzer writes, how much McMahon put over UFC. Its safety and its misunderstood, its critics. McMahon is really trying to do a job on putting UFC over, and the fact they brought in Severn to kind of back that claim up as well. They kind of see it as Severn is helping the UFC at this point, and there's no real initial intention of Severn signing with the WWF. So it's an interesting dynamic what they've got going on there with this whole connection between the two. And it's interesting to hear Vince McMahon be saying those kind of things, especially when you think what went on years later and where we're at now. To think that was the kind of deal. But what a claim that was. Okay, let's jump now to... We're in July 7th, 1997. Little fun fact here. This was at the time, Matt, where Tyson and Holyfield had just had their Battle of the Bite. I think everyone will remember that. Of course, all that turmoil was going on. So, just to give everybody a bit of perspective of what was going on at that time, that was around the time that, Tyson and Holyfield had that fight. And, of course, that was the famous one where, of course, he bit Holyfield's ear off, shall we say, in that fight. I'm sure everyone will remember that. Okay, so then we report on the Raw, and Shamrock finally kind of gets a longer, well, even though I say longer, it's only 4 minutes, 41 seconds, Matt. He's beating Hunter Hearst Helmsley, and he's winning with a belly-to-belly suplex when Mankind comes out and distracts Helmsley. It's amazing, Meltzer writes, how both quickly Shamrock is developing into a solid American-style worker, and quickly they're running him in the attraction who can draw money because he can definitely work. So it looks like Shamrock's coming on very strong here, Matt, and it looks like he looks like he's going to be the real deal, I guess. At this point, when they're, okay, it's not a complete clean finish beating Hunter Hearst Helmsley with a distraction, but it's kind of a huge intent, I guess, from WWF, showing that that's the way they want to go. That same night, Shamrock comes out and he's involved still with the Heart Foundation. He's kind of teaming up with the likes of Austin and Mankind at the time. They're doing their stuff against the whole Heart Foundation, sending it up to the Canadian Stampede match. Shamrock would also work a match. Do you remember this show, Matt? Shotgun. If you remember that show.
I remember that one, yeah. Was that the one where they first shot that in a shopping mall or something?
Yeah, I believe it is. I believe they done something like that. Yeah, I don't quote me on that, but I'm sure that was the case for that one. So, July 14th, 1997, WWF Canadian Stampede. This is a 10-man tag team match. And this is one of the best 10-man, probably the best 10-man tag team match that I've seen. This is an incredible match. And, it's... Shamrock in this match is used very effectively. Like, the kind of crowd are... I mean, it's a really good match anyway because of the amount of guys in it, and they do such a good job. And this is a long match. This is like 40, 50 minutes worth of a match here. So it's no slow match, and the crowd is Canadian, so the atmosphere is off the chain. The whole Hart family are sitting outside. Shamrock's parts in this match, I mean, he keeps getting teased between him and Brett, and everybody's going crazy when they get in the ring, or they almost nearly get in the ring at each other. Shamrock in this has some really good moments, combining mainly with Jim Neidhart. Shamrock used the ankle lock, but Neidhart made it to the ropes when he got a huge pop. The place went nuts when Pillman tagged in, chopping Dan and going at Shamrock. That was one of his the big moments in the match. But this is again rated very high by Meltzer, at just under 4.5 stars. So this is like a really big deal. Matt, I don't know if you remember that match or you've vaguely seen that match, but it's definitely worth out there for any of our listeners to check that one out. It's a really good match. Do you remember anything about that match, Matt?
No. I mean, I've got vague memories about it, but it's one of those ones that I've got to just go back on. I think and actually relive it, because I'm actually quite enjoying going back to Shamrock matches now and actually going through them again. I mean, so I will have to go back and check on that one.
Yeah, I recommend that to anybody. It's definitely not a waste of your time. After that, they are running on the house show circuits. That Ken Shamrock is started to run a program with Davey Boy Smith, and Shamrock is winning these matches by DQ at the time. So he's running the circuits with Davey on the house shows. On Raw, Jim Neidhart is Shamrock's opponent, and Shamrock's beating him. Just under 5 minutes, so he's not doing like the longest matches here, Matt. They're keeping him pretty fresh. They're keeping him solid. Like this is a guy that can do damage in very quick time. Meltzer reports this is in no way a terrible match. It ends with a choke out from Shamrock, and so it looks like at this point, Matt, WWF are very much. Trying to build Shamrock as a no-nonsense, legit fighter that can just finish things up very fast with submission moves. That seems to be working. That seems to be getting over. As we speed things up now to the 21st of July, Raw from Halifax. The show had some good, some bad, and some strange and indifferent, says Meltzer. It opened with Vader over Shamrock in 7 minutes with a count out when Davey Boy Smith interfered, power slammed Shamrock on the ramp, and he couldn't beat the count. It wasn't anywhere close to the level of their pay-per-view match in May, but it was still a solid match. So the new feud here, Matt, is Davey Boy, British Bulldog, and Ken Shamrock at this time. They're going into SummerSlam with that program. Fun fact here, just for everybody to know, is that WWF at the time were looking into producing a major card in the United Kingdom in that September, Matt. So there you go, and I think we'll remember that one, what that was, but we'll get to that. The SummerSlam advance for the Continental Arena at this point has pretty much sold out to full capacity. Basically showing that SummerSlam this year, Matt, seemed to be a bigger deal than WrestleMania. That speaks volumes, doesn't it, really? When you think about WrestleMania, the name and everything. Very strange. The house shows around this time at the beginning of August are pretty much still the same circuits. Shamrock is going over Davey Boy Smith by DQ. That's happening a lot on the circuit. Ken Shamrock and Bulldog on one of the Raws at the beginning of August had an arm wrestling match. Bulldog butted heads with Shamrock, and then Shamrock managed to take some or took some chair shots from him and poured dog food all over him. It's the same Memphis style angle you've seen a million times, reports Meltzer, but it does work well in this day and age. The only thing Meltzer writes here is, I'd question Shamrock is a top of the heap baby face at the moment, where you'd want him to pour dog food all over him and get heat for it. Not sure if this is working to get him over as a pro wrestler. However, the fans do seem to be buying it at the moment. Okay, so 11th of August, WWF SummerSlam 1997. We got Ken Shamrock versus Davey Boy Smith. This match goes on at number 4 in the card. Matt, do you remember anything about this match at all? And is it one that you're vaguely familiar with?
No, yeah, again, it's another one of those ones I've got to go back to. This is like I'm hitting a blank spot in my knowledge right now. I mean, I've got to go back to 1997 and relive this stuff.
Yeah, I haven't looked at it that much either. I've got the report, and I mean, I do remember watching it like ages and ages ago. I remember the dog food spot in it. This was for the European title as well, and Davey Boy Smith retained the European title by winning only by DQ against Ken Shamrock. Meltzer reports Shamrock bled from the mouth, apparently from a stiff clothesline. Shamrock mainly sold for Smith during the entire match. It would all end when Bulldog hit Shamrock with dog food, and dog food got in his face. This made Ken Shamrock snap. Now, I'm sure you remember all those moments, Matt, when Shamrock went absolutely ballistic. This was when it kind of first happened. Meltzer writes, Shamrock went ballistic, choking Smith out while the officials tried to break it up. Finally, he broke the hold, but not before giving Patterson, Briscoe and 2 refs belly-to-belly suplexes and walking off to a huge pop. This seemed to get him over. This was kind of seen, Matt, as kind of like Austin was getting over. This seemed the same type of thing, except, of course, Shamrock was already a babyface, but that whole anti-authority kind of guy, it seemed the way WWF were trying to book Shamrock, especially when he loses it, and he's a dangerous man and he could do anything at any moment. It seems like character-wise, that's what they're trying to give the impressions of here, because up until this point, Shamrock's just kind of playing Shamrock, but here we see a very different side to the character, where all of a sudden he just goes absolutely nuts because he's got some dog food thrown at him. That's the way to wind up Shamrock, by all accounts. The night after SummerSlam, Shamrock beats Karma in 3 minutes only, Matt, on this one, so not long again. He ends up with winning that match with a belly-to-belly. What do you make of the whole, as a finisher, Matt, a belly-to-belly suplex? Do you think it worked for Shamrock back then?
Yeah, I mean, it's not the most spectacular move, is it? But I like the way that he did it. I mean, the ankle lock was incredibly more impressive, but for a belly-to-belly, it wasn't something that's being utilised an awful lot, and I suppose it's more effective if you're more of a heavyweight kind of guy. I think they could have come up with something better for him, personally, but I didn't mind it at the time. Sure.
Okay, so through August, Shamrock is, he's tagging with the Patriot. I'm sure you remember him, Matt, up against Owen and Bulldog. They're having tag matches. And then a couple of weeks later, Shamrock's beating the Sultan. I'm sure you all remember him, with an ankle lock. And again, they're short matches. These ones, the single ones, they're like that was in 3 minutes 16 seconds. Shamrock is reported to be looking very, very good here. Again, fun facts here is that WWF September